The first thing I swore to do after I woke up in the past was to ensure I never met Elena Vance again. I successfully dodged every intersection of our lives, thinking I had finally broken free from the woman who had been the source of a lifetime of regret and heartbreak. That is, until a business gala 5 years later. She walked straight toward me, clutching a glass of wine, her eyes rimmed with red. Her opening words were a thunderclap. "Caleb, you came back too, didn't you? Then answer me this. In the last life, before I changed my heart, did you secretly go to Julian Thorne and beg him to marry me?" The fortress of a world I had meticulously rebuilt collapsed with that single sentence. I opened my eyes, gasping. I was sitting on the leather sofa in my father's study. The crystal chandelier overhead was blinding. The calendar on the wall displayed a date I would never forget. It was 10 years ago. I had been reborn. The knot of hatred and unwillingness that had choked me for half a lifetime suddenly found an outlet. In my previous life, my existence was a complete joke. The family empire, Sterling Industries, had fallen into a crisis. I fought tooth and nail to save it. Then, my wife, Elena Vance, got involved with my best friend, Julian Thorne. I watched helplessly as they appeared together in public. I watched Elena grow colder toward me by the day. I watched Julian look at me with pity. In the end, my heart turned to ash. I left the country, fleeing to a place where no one knew my name to live out the rest of my miserable days. They must have been happy, I thought. After all, the Thorne family was old money. Julian could give Elena the stability I couldn't. I never blamed Elena for her choice. I only hated my own incompetence. I didn't even blame Julian because I was the one who begged him to take care of her. I had dug my own grave with my own hands. In that past life, the Kane family had been closing in for the kill, even resorting to assassination attempts. My family and I suffered accidents one after another. I felt I couldn't protect Elena anymore. I was terrified she would be dragged down with me, terrified she would get hurt. So, I did the stupidest thing imaginable, the one thing I regretted most. I found my best friend, Julian, and begged him. "Julian, the Kanes are making their move. I can't protect Elena anymore. Your family is untouchable. They wouldn't dare cross you. Please protect her. I know you've always had a soft spot for her. I'll leave. I'll step aside and let you two be happy." I thought it was the ultimate protection, my noble sacrifice. But what did I see? Before I could even begin to distance myself, before I could enact my plan, she had already turned and thrown herself into Julian's arms without a backward glance. They were inseparable, attending every event together, the smiles on their faces stinging my eyes. It turned out my so-called sacrifice just made her betrayal convenient. I was like a clown, personally building the stage for my wife and my best friend to perform their romance. Elena's shift was too fast, so fast it left me stunned and looking like a fool. It was so fast that I began to suspect they had been together long before I made my stupid decision. So the hatred was real, born of absurdity and suspicion. Love, hate, fear, guilt, and unwillingness. This tearing of the soul tortured me every moment. Reliving this life, I wasn't looking for revenge. In truth, they hadn't wronged me. The hate in my heart was just my own inner filth. It was my deep-seated unwillingness to accept how it ended. And I was afraid. Afraid history would repeat itself. So, in this life, I just wanted to stay far away from them. If we didn't meet, didn't know each other, and didn't fall in love, there would be no chance to hurt me. But just then, the heavy oak door swung open. My father walked in, unable to hide the joy on his face. "Caleb, great news." I pulled some strings and connected with the Vance family. They're very interested in the merger proposal. Next weekend, get ready. You're coming with us to meet their daughter, Elena Vance. Elena Vance. The name was like a dull knife twisting in my chest. The gears of fate had turned to this exact moment again. "I'm not going," I blurted out. My father's smile froze. "What did you say?" I said. "I'm not going," I repeated. My voice wasn't loud, but it was steady. "I won't agree to a merger with the Vances, and I certainly won't meet this Elena." My father's face darkened instantly. "Do you have any idea what kind of nonsense you're spouting? Do you not know the situation the company is in? Merging with the Vances is our only way out." Of course I knew. In the last life, it was because of this only way out that I walked into the prison named Elena Vance. "I'll handle the company." I stood up. "The marriage is off the table." "You'll handle it? With what?" Father was so furious, he grabbed a stack of files from the desk and hurled them at me. "You arrogant, ungrateful brat. Who do you think you are?" Papers scattered across the floor like a pathetic snowfall. My mother rushed in at the noise. Seeing the scene, her eyes instantly reddened. "Caleb, just listen to your father this once." Mom is begging you. Just go meet her for the sake of this family. She grabbed my hand, her voice trembling with tears. I looked at the gray hairs at her temples, and my heart seized with pain. But I couldn't give in. If I gave in, everything would return to square one. I pried my mother's fingers off my arm and said, word by word, Mom, I will do anything you ask except this. I turned and walked out of the study, leaving behind my father's roar and my mother sobbing. Back in my room, I locked the door and slid down against the wood until I hit the floor. My chest felt tight enough to burst. My phone screen lit up. It was Julian. I stared at the name. His words from the last life. Caleb, I'm sorry. I truly love her. Echoed in my ears. I declined to call. He called again immediately. I declined again. The third time, I turned the phone off. The screen went black, and the world finally went quiet. I buried my head in my knees. Look, this is my rebirth. Day one, and I'm already the rebellious son and the heartless friend. But I had no choice. I thought my hard stance would make my parents give up. I was wrong. The next day, I was informed that all my bank accounts had been frozen. My father sat in the living room, looking at me coldly. When you come to your senses, I'll unfreeze them. I want to see how long a rich kid like you can survive without the family name. I didn't say a word. I went back to my room, dug a dusty backpack out of the closet, and stuffed it with a few $1,000s in cash I'd saved from high school. I shouldered the bag and walked out of the house without saying goodbye to anyone. I knew they wouldn't actually let me starve. This was just a tactic to force my surrender. But this time, I wouldn't surrender. I rented the cheapest basement apartment I could find near the university. Damp, cramped, and devoid of sunlight. By day, I haunted the library like a madman. Relying on my memories of the future, I compiled data on every industry that would boom in the next 10 years. I drafted a detailed startup business plan. At night, fueled by instant ramen, I revised my proposal over and over. I had to succeed. I had to build Sterling Industries into a powerhouse that relied on no one before the Canes attacked. Only then could I completely escape Elena, escape Julian, and escape the shadow of my past life. During this time, Julian tried to contact me through every possible channel. Classmates, friends, even my old assistant. Caleb, what the hell is going on? Why are you dodging me? Your folks said you ran away to avoid a marriage proposal. Is that true? I've known Elena for a while. She's a great girl. Why are you resisting this so much? We're brothers. Is there something you can't tell me? Every text was a reminder of that unbearable past. I didn't reply to a single one. He didn't know what was going to happen. A week later, clutching my nearly perfect business plan, I started hunting for investors. Reality was crueler than I imagined. The Sterling heir? Sorry, we only talked to your father. Nice idea, but too risky. Kid, you need to keep your feet on the ground. A runaway trust fund baby? What guarantee do we have that you won't flake? I hit walls everywhere, enduring eye rolls and ridicule. One night, dragging my exhausted body back to the basement, the landlord blocked the door. Hey kid, rent's due. I turned out all my pockets, but could only scrape together a few crumpled bills. The landlord's face dropped instantly. Why are you renting if you're broke? Hurry up. If you can't pay today, get the hell out. I swallowed my pride and begged for a few days' grace. He shoved me aside, stomped into the room, and threw my meager belongings out onto the sidewalk. Out. Get out. You're bad luck. My business plans scattered on the pavement, stamped with dirty footprints. I crouched down silently, picking up the pages one by one. In that moment, I felt like a dog abandoned by its owner. Without the halo of the Sterling family, I was nothing. Humiliation and powerlessness drowned me. Just then, a black Bentley pulled up to the curb. The window rolled down, revealing Julian's familiar face. He looked at my wretched state, his brow furrowed deep. Caleb, come back with me. I ignored him and kept picking up my papers. He got out of the car, intending to help me. I shot up, balling the business plan in my hand and hurling it hard at his chest. Leave. I used every ounce of strength to scream the word. He froze, his face a mask of disbelief. Caleb, have you lost your mind? Lost my mind. I laughed, laughing until tears nearly spilled over. Julian, why do you have to lecture me? Stow that fake concern. I don't need it. Aren't we brothers? Brothers? I sounded like I'd heard the world's biggest joke. Not anymore. Not for a long time. With that, I stopped looking at him. I didn't dare to look at him. I couldn't articulate what I felt in facing him. It was a chaotic mix of guilt, jealousy, gratitude, and hatred that left me paralyzed. So I just gathered my pile of trash and walked in the darkness without looking back. I heard him shouting my name behind me, around. Julian Thorne. In this lifetime, I wasn't ready to face him yet. I didn't manage to stay tough until the end. And after spending my last dime and starving for 2 days, I went home. It wasn't a surrender to my parents, but a bow to reality. I needed a platform, a starting point to launch my counterattack. And Sterling Industries was my only option. The day I returned, my father gave me the cold shoulder, but my mother held me and wept. I explained nothing. I calmly told them I was willing to enter the company, but not as the heir apparent. Dad, give me a project manager position and some seed capital. Give me 1 year. If I don't show results, I'll do whatever you say, including merging with the Van Cess. I was trading 1 year of freedom for a chance to prove myself, perhaps moved by my determination, or perhaps just wanted to see what I could actually do. My father agreed. He didn't know that my project was a commercial blueprint specifically designed to snipe the future tech market. Carrying memories of the future, I was like a student taking a test with the answer key. In the days that followed, I became a workaholic. I slept 4 hours a night. The rest of the time was poured into the project. I refused all social engagements, including Julian's repeated invitations. He seemed to sense something final in my resolve and gradually stopped contacting me. This was exactly what I wanted. Only occasionally late at night, staring at the name in my contacts that would never light up again, my heart felt hollow. Time moved fast. Within a year, my project was a massive success. It brought unprecedented profits to the company. My status in the firm skyrocketed, and the elders went from scrutinizing me to admiring me. The atmosphere at home softened significantly, and no one mentioned the marriage alliance again. I thought I could finally breathe, until the day my mother found me with an invitation. Caleb, the Kane family gala. Escort me. Your father isn't feeling well. The Kanes, in a last life, they were the ones who used despicable means to drive the Sterlings to the brink, the root of my tragedy. Instinctively, I wanted to refuse. This gala is crucial. Everyone who is anyone in New York business will be there. You are the face of the company now. You can't be absent. My mother's tone left no room for argument. I couldn't refuse. The night of the gala, dressed in a sharp tuxedo, I walked into the gilded ballroom with my mother on my arm. The lights were brilliant, shadows intertwining. I saw them immediately. Elena and Julian. They stood together, talented and beautiful, the perfect couple. Elena wore a white gown, looking cold and noble. She was tilting her head to listen to Julian, a faint smile on her lips. That image overlapped with countless moments from my previous life. My heart felt like it was being squeezed by an invisible hand, hurting so much I couldn't breathe. I forced myself to look away, telling myself this had nothing to do with me anymore. But my body wouldn't listen. I was frozen in place. My mother sensed something and followed my gaze. That's Ms. Vance, isn't it? She really is exceptional, she sighed. What a pity. She shot me a reproachful look. Yes, a pity. A pity I was reborn. A pity I was reborn and still so useless. Even now, I wasn't ready to face the storm. I took a deep breath, fixed my expression, and prepared to guide my mother elsewhere. Just then, Elena seemed to sense something. She looked toward me. Our eyes met. Her smile solidified on her face. I saw her pupils contract, her expression shifting as if she had seen a ghost. Julian followed her gaze and saw me, his expression becoming equally complex. I didn't want any interaction with them. I pulled my mother, turning to leave. Caleb, a cool voice rang out behind me. It was Elena. I paused but didn't look back. Can we talk? Talk? What was there to talk about? Discuss how you and my best friend were so affectionate behind my back. Or discuss how I had the audacity to reject the marriage. I didn't respond, dragging my mother forward. Caleb Sterling. She shouted again, much louder this time. People around us began to cast curious glances. My mother stopped, looking at me in confusion. Caleb, Ms. Vance is calling you. I felt like a clown in the center ring. I let go of my mother's hand, turned around, and used the coldest tone I could muster. Ms. Vance, we aren't familiar. My words were a bucket of ice water splashed onto Elena's face. Beside her, Julian's face turned grim. He stepped forward, shielding Elena, looking at me with disappointment and confusion. Caleb, do you have to be like this? Watching him defend her felt incredibly familiar and ironic. Right, how could I forget? In a last life, he was her knight in shining armor, and I was the one who put him there. Mr. Thorne, I deliberately used a distant title. This is between Ms. Vance and me. It does not concern you. How does it not concern me? Julian's brow furrowed tighter. We haven't been friends for a long time. I interrupted him, my voice icy. Since the day I decided never to see you again. The air around us seemed to congeal. My mother looked at me in shock, unable to understand why I would treat my former best friend this way. A flash of hurt crossed Julian's face, but he persisted. Caleb, if there's a misunderstanding, let's clear it up. Misunderstanding? I laughed, a sound full of self-mockery. There is nothing to clear up between us. My gaze went past him to land on Elena. She was staring at me, her eyes brimming with moisture. She probably never expected me to be so disrespectful in public. That look, appearing as if she were about to weep, was exactly how she looked in a last life when she suggested we needed to take a break. The messy mix of emotions in my heart grew stronger, strong enough to suffocate me. I offered no further explanation. Ms. Vance, I wish you and Mr. Thorne a lifetime of happiness. With that, I ignored him. I ignored the probing stares of the crowd and walked straight to the ballroom terrace. I needed fresh air. The night wind hit my face, carrying a chill, but it couldn't blow away the agitation in my heart. I leaned against the railing, fishing a cigarette from my pocket and lighting it. I rarely smoked, but right now, I needed the nicotine to numb myself. I thought as long as I didn't look, didn't listen, and didn't think, I could bear that past completely. But seeing them again, I realized those scars had only been forcibly covered up. They had never truly healed. One light touch, and they were bleeding again. I was too cowardly, too useless. Footsteps approached from behind. I didn't need to turn to know who it was. You know Elena, don't you? Julian's voice drifted over. Have you met her before? I didn't speak, just took a hard drag on the cigarette. If you didn't know her, you wouldn't have lost your composure like that. He walked up beside me, leaning on the railing too. Do you like her? None of your business. Caleb, listen to me. It's not what you think. Then what is it? Anyway, you've misunderstood. Enough. I snubbed out the cigarette. Julian, for the sake of the brotherhood we once had, I'll say this one last time. Stay away from me. Take your woman and stay away from me. I'm begging you. I added silently in my heart. I turned and left. 5 years. For 5 whole years after that, I never saw them. I used that time to drive Sterling Industries to unprecedented heights using my foresight. I successfully sniped the Kane family, making them pay a terrible price for their actions in the previous timeline. I became the business world's youngest, coldest legend. Everyone said my heart was made of iron. They didn't know. My heart had died 10 years ago on the night I decided to be reborn. I lived the life of a monk. Aside from work, I had no entertainment. I turned myself into a precision machine. No feelings, no fatigue. My parents looked at me, their expressions shifting from initial relief to worry. They urged me more than once, Caleb, you can't earn all the money in the world. You should think about settling down. I always used work as an excuse. They didn't know that my heart couldn't hold anyone else ever again. Over these 5 years, I deliberately avoided all news about Elena and Julian. Yet, their names would still drift into my world through business magazines or news feeds. The Vance family enterprise, under Elena's leadership, was flourishing. Julian had become a titan in his own industry. They were a match made in heaven, both in business and in the eyes of society. Occasionally, I would see photos of them attending events together. Standing side by side, they still looked so compatible. Every time I saw it, my heart would be pierced. Then, I would numb myself with even more insane amounts of work. I told myself this was the path I chose. I brought this on myself. I deserved it. I self-righteously believed that I had used my own suffering to buy their happiness and stability. It was worth it. Until that business gala, I couldn't refuse. It was a high-level summit, gathering almost all the top entrepreneurs in the country. As an industry leader, I had to attend. The moment I got the guest list, my hand trembled. Elena Vance, Julian Thorne. Their names appeared side by side. 5 years. I thought I was ready, that I could face them calmly. But when I entered the ballroom and saw that familiar silhouette again, I realized all my mental preparation was futile. I couldn't help but let out a low groan of pain. She stood not far away, holding a glass of champagne, chatting with someone. She was even more dazzling than 5 years ago. Confident, poised, every movement radiating mature charm. She was like the brightest star, drawing the gaze of the entire room, including mine. I hid in the corner, like a rat afraid of the light, greedily watching her. My heart began to pound treasonously. I hated this version of myself. I hated my lack of backbone, hated that after so many years, I still couldn't let go. I raised my glass and downed the contents in one gulp, trying to suppress the surging emotions with alcohol. Just then, I saw her finish her conversation. Then, she turned, her gaze landing precisely on me. It was as if she had known I was there from the start. No. My body went rigid instantly. Then, I watched her hold her glass, and cut through the crowd. Step by step, walking straight toward me. Her heels clicked on the polished floor, a crisp sound. Every step felt like she was stomping on my heart. I wanted to run, but my feet felt nailed to the floor. I could only watch helplessly as she got closer. She stopped in front of me. Up close, I saw it. She wore exquisite makeup, but it couldn't hide the redness in her eyes. She looked at me for a long time, so long I thought time had stopped. Then she spoke. Her voice wasn't loud, but exploded in my ear like thunder. "Caleb, you came back too, didn't you?" My mind went blank. What did she say? How could she know? The icy shell I'd spent 5 years constructing cracked, wide open with that single sentence. I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. I could only look at her with shock and disbelief. My reaction obviously confirmed her guess. The water in her eyes welled up, but she stubbornly refused to let it fall. She took a deep breath, as if using every ounce of her strength, and asked the question that made my entire world begin to crumble. "Then answer me this. In the last life before I changed my heart, did you secretly go to Julian Thorne and beg him to protect me?" Boom! I felt something explode in my brain. This was my deepest secret. It was the most painful, stupidest, most unwilling decision of my previous life. It was a secret I thought no third person would ever know besides Julian and me. How could she know? I looked at her, my lips trembling, unable to form a single word. "You? How do you?" After a long silence, my voice came out dry and foreign. "Because I went to him too." Her voice pitched up sharply, and the tears finally broke free. "The very next day, after you went to him, my heart felt like it had been smashed by a heavy hammer. I told him, 'The Canes are going after Caleb. I can't protect him. Please, help me stage a play. Make him hate me so he'll leave safely.'" She looked at me, tears streaming down her cheeks, ruining her perfect makeup. We were two idiots. We both thought we were looking out for the other. Both thought we were making the greatest sacrifice. We both told Julian the exact same sentence. "Please, you must keep this a secret from him/her." My body began to shake uncontrollably. It was like that. It was actually like that. The betrayal that had caused me a lifetime of agony was, from start to finish, a play directed by the two of us. Every time you saw me with him, we were discussing how to make you hate me more so you'd leave with peace of mind. The change of heart you saw was me figuring out how to die in your place. "Caleb, you idiot. The world's biggest idiot," she cried as she pummeled my chest with her fists. Her strength wasn't much, but it hurt so bad I couldn't breathe. My hate across 2 lifetimes, my avoidance in this life, it all turned into a cosmic joke. I hated the wrong person. I hid from the wrong person. I wasn't even human. I had personally pushed away the woman who was willing to die for me. What had I done? "So, you loved, hated, and hid from me for 2 lifetimes, didn't you?" She stopped hitting me, lifting her tear-streaked face to ask me, word for word. I looked at her, my throat blocked by a lump of cotton, too painful to speak. Love? Yes. I loved her for 2 lifetimes. Hate? Why did I have to hate her? I created this mess myself. What I should hate was my own self-righteous, cowardly incompetence. I never got together with Julian. Shortly after you left, we went our separate ways. Later, I tried to find you, but you hid too well. I couldn't find you until the autumn you died in the last life. The day of the funeral, it rained heavily. The white shirt you liked best. I dressed you in it myself. You know, when you died, you had lost so much weight. You were so light, she narrated calmly. Every word was a knife, flaying my heart. I couldn't imagine it. With what kind of heart did she handle the funeral arrangements for the man who had abandoned her? I couldn't imagine how she spent those years alone without me. "Caleb," Julian's voice came from his side. I realized then that he was standing there too, looking at us with complicated eyes. "After handling your funeral, Elena took poison and followed you. It was a suicide pact, a martyrdom. Your love was too intense. It pricked me. So I was reborn too, Caleb. I came back to untie this dead, not for you both." My body swayed violently. I could barely stand. She followed me. Immense guilt and heartache drowned me instantly. Mist blurred my vision. I looked at Elena's pale face, feeling my heart being torn into shreds. I was a bastard, a damn rat in the gutter. What exactly had I done? I don't know how I left the ballroom. My mind was chaos. Julian and Elena's words replayed like a curse. Suicide. Rebirth. 2 idiots. No. 3. I locked myself in my car, hugging my head, curled into a ball. I dare not think about Elena's resolve when she took that poison in the last life. I dare not think about her feelings as she dressed me in my shroud. And I certainly dare not think about how, in this life, I had hurt her over and over again in the cruelest ways possible. My heart hurt until it went numb. It turned out that living two lives I had lived as a joke both times. A self-righteous, pathetic joke. Every cell in my body was screaming in mockery at myself. A knock on the window. I looked up to see Julian standing outside. I unlocked the door. He sat in the passenger seat and handed me a bottle of water. Drink something. You look terrible. I didn't take it. I just asked hoarsely, where is she? I asked her to go back first. Julian sighed. The shock she took today wasn't any less than yours. Right. She had come to find me full of hope, only to be driven away by my hurtful words time and time again. When did she? Remember? 5 years ago, when you refused a marriage with the Vances. Julian said. Your parent told the Vance family. Her father went home and told her that Caleb Sterling of the Sterling family didn't want her. She said when she heard the name, Caleb connected with the word refuse. All the memories for the past life came rushing back. My heart seized again. She waited for you for 5 years, Caleb. Julian looked at me. She knew you were reborn, and she knew you hated her. So she didn't dare come find you abruptly. She was afraid you'd dodge her like the plague. She worked hard to run her company, making herself excellent, just so one day she could stand before you as an equal and tell you the whole truth. She thought you only hated her. She didn't expect that you still loved her. So today at the banquet, that look you gave her, it completely broke her heart. That's why she laid all her cards on the table. My hands gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white, fingernails digging into my palms. I am a bastard. You certainly are. Julian didn't contradict me. But you're also an idiot. Both of you are idiots. Two morons, fools, imbeciles. I've been stuck between you two for 2 lifetimes, acting as a messenger and a witness. In the last life, I watched you torture each other, helpless to stop it. In this life, I swore I would make everything clear. Caleb, I know before this, you must have felt love, hate, and fear, which is why you kept dodging us. But it's really unnecessary. We've lived twice. What could possibly stop us now? Are the Canes even a threat? Julian patted my shoulder. Go find her. Talk it out. Don't let the tragedy repeat itself. It hurts just watching you two. He got out of the car and left, leaving me alone in the silence. The neon lights outside flickered on and off, mirroring the chaos in my mind. Find her? Did I have the face to see her? The debt I owed her couldn't be paid off in 2 lifetimes. I sat in the car all night. When dawn broke, I finally made a decision. I started the engine and drove toward Elena's house. Some things had to be faced. Some debts had to be paid. Even if she didn't forgive me, I had to say those I'm sorries that were 2 lifetimes late right to her face. I had only been to Elena's home once in the previous life. It was after we got engaged, the first time she took me to meet her parents. Standing here again, separated by 2 lifetimes, my emotions were a tangled mess. I pressed the doorbell, my palms sweating. A middle-aged woman opened the door, likely the housekeeper. Sir, who are you looking for? I'm looking for Elena. Miss Elena is... The housekeeper looked troubled. She hasn't been feeling well since she came back yesterday. She's been in her room and refuses to see anyone. My heart sank. Please, tell her Caleb is here. The housekeeper hesitated but went upstairs to announce me. I waited in the living room, every second stretching out like a century. Photos of Elena hung on the walls. There was one of her as a child, smiling innocently. One from her college graduation, wearing her cap and gown, confident and soaring. And a recent one. In the photo, she was beautiful and capable, yet her eyes held a trace of loneliness I had never understood before. I was entranced, staring at the images, until a cool voice sounded from the top of the stairs. What are you doing here? I turned to see Elena standing by the second-floor railing, looking down at me. She had changed into loungewear and wore no makeup. Her face was terrifyingly pale, her eyes red and swollen. Seeing her like this felt like a physical blow to my heart. I opened my mouth, but found the words, I'm sorry, weighed 1,000 pounds. If you're here to laugh at me, you've seen enough. She pulled the corner of her mouth into a mocking smile. If you're here to apologize, don't bother. I can't handle it. She turned to go back to her room. Elena. I shouted urgently. I took the stairs 2 at a time, rushing up to block her path before she could close the door. Let's talk. I have nothing to talk about with you. She looked at me coldly, her eyes full of distance. Just 10 minutes. I was practically begging. Dignity? I had lost that countless times over 2 lives. I didn't care about losing it once more. She looked at me, the ice in her eyes gradually melting, replaced by a deep exhaustion. Finally, She turned sideways and let me into the room. This was the first time I had entered her private sanctuary. The room was simple, decorated mostly in white and light gray. Just like her, cool, clean. On her desk sat a framed photo. The picture inside was me. It was me playing basketball in college, wearing a white jersey, smiling brightly. I had almost forgotten that photo existed. She must have gotten it from somewhere. Probably Julian. Whatever you want to say it. She sat on the sofa, avoiding my gaze. I walked over to her. Slowly, I sank to my knees. Elena's whole body jolted, and she shot up. Caleb, what are you doing? Get up. I didn't get up. I just looked up at her, my eyes burning. Elena, I'm sorry. I finally said the words that were 2 lifetimes late. In the last life, I was stupid. I was self-righteous. I hurt you, and I destroyed myself. In this life, I was a bastard. I was a coward. I had the chance to fix it, but I personally pushed you further away. I don't dare ask for your forgiveness. I just want to tell you, I love you. From the first moment I saw you, I loved you. For 2 lifetimes, I have only ever loved you. My tears finally fell uncontrollably. A man in his 30s, crying like a fool in front of her. Elena looked at me, and her tears fell too. She reached out to help me up, but pulled her hand back halfway. She bit her lip, her body trembling slightly. Caleb, do you know how long I've waited for those words? Do you know after you left in the last life, I thought about you every day? I hated you. I hated you for leaving without a goodbye. I also hated myself. Why couldn't I help you back then? When you died, I felt like the whole world went empty. What was the point of me living? She crouched down to be at eye level with me, her vision blurred by tears. I prayed to every god and Buddha, begging for a chance at rebirth, just to start over with you. But you treated me like an poisonous snake. You dodged me, pushed me away. Caleb, my heart is made of flesh too. It hurts. Her words, every single one, were an indictment of my crimes. I was speechless, able only to say, I'm sorry, over and over again. I don't want your apologies. She shook her head, reaching out to gently stroke my cheek. I just want you, Caleb, in this life, don't leave me behind again, okay? Please. I reached out and pulled her tightly into my arms, as if trying to merge her into my very bones and blood. The person in my arms was warm, soft, smelling faintly of perfume. Real, not a dream. I won't leave. I buried my face in the crook of her neck, my voice choking. I'll never leave again. You are my life. We held each other and cried for a long time, venting the grievances, longing, and pain of 2 lifetimes, until both our emotions gradually settled. She leaned against my chest, her finger lightly tracing circles over my heart. When were you reborn? She asked. 10 years ago, the day before my parents first asked me to marry you. No wonder. She chuckled softly. No wonder your reaction was so extreme. I thought I had done something to make you hate me. I was a jerk. I held her hand, pressing it against my cheek to warm it. If I hadn't been so extreme back then, we wouldn't have wasted these 5 years. I don't blame you. She shook her head. If it were me, not knowing the truth, I might have done something even more drastic. She looked up at me. So, when did you start liking me? This was a question she had never asked in the last life, and I had never told her. A long time ago, I looked into her eyes, speaking earnestly. Sophomore year of high school, the school talent show. You were playing the piano in a white dress. You were radiant, breathtaking. You blinded me. From that day on, my eyes couldn't see anyone else. Her face flushed slightly, a bit embarrassed. Then why didn't you come find me? I didn't dare. I laughed at myself. Back then, you were too dazzling like the moon in the sky. I felt I wasn't good enough. The line of guys chasing you stretched from school to France. Later, I actually went to France, thinking maybe I could cut in line. Turns out there were several lines. Idiot. She lightly punched my chest. We talked for a long time. About everything in the last life, about the misconnections in this one. Those memories that once caused me unbearable pain seemed bearable now that they were spoken aloud. It turned out all the suffering stemmed from unequal information. We both thought we were heroes fighting alone, never knowing the other was guarding us in the exact same way. What about Julian? I suddenly remembered the brother who had worried himself sick over us. Elena Logid. He sent me a text last night saying his mission was complete and he's going to travel the world. He also said, next time we get married, remember to give him a huge red envelope. I couldn't help but laugh too. We definitely owed him a big fat check. My suffering brother. Without him, the knot between Elena and me might never have been untied. Caleb. Elena suddenly turned serious. How did you solve the Kane family problem? I briefly told her how, over the past 5 years, I used my memories of the past to lay traps step by step, eventually making the Cains eat the bitter fruit of their own actions. I included the multiple assassination attempts I had faced again, and the relief I felt at the time, relief that in this life she was safe, safe. She listened, remaining silent for a long time. You big idiot. You bored too much alone. She looked at me with heartache. I'm not bitter. I shook my head. As long as I can protect you, protect our families, everything is worth it. My life has belonged to you for a long time. In the last life, it was because I lacked the ability that I came up with that stupid plan. In this life, I fought with everything I had to become powerful, just so I wouldn't repeat the same mistakes. From now on, I'll be with you. She tightened her grip on my hand. No matter what happens, we face it together. You are not allowed to leave me behind. Okay. I looked at her, my heart filled with an unprecedented sense of stability and satisfaction. So, this is what happiness looks like. Not vast wealth, not supreme power, but the person you love being right beside you. Your hearts connected, suffering and enduring together. The next day, I took Elena home. When my parents saw us appear at the door hand in hand, the expressions on their faces were more spectacular than when I brought home my first 10 million in profit. My mother froze for a long time before reacting, excitedly grabbing Elena's hand. Ms. Vance, you two are. Mrs. Sterling, you can call me Elena, Elena smiled. Caleb and I are together. Good. My mother was incoherent with joy. Come in and sit. Although my father kept a straight face, the uncontrollable smile at the corner of his mouth betrayed him. He cleared his throat, pretending to be stern as he said to me, You brat, finally did something right. I knew they had been waiting for this day for too long. During lunch, the family was harmonious. My mother kept serving Elena food, asking about her well-being, treating her more affectionately than her own son. My father dropped his usual severity and discussed company growth with Elena, his words full of praise. Watching this warm scene, I felt my heart fill to the brim. This was what a home should look like. After lunch, I walked with Elena in the garden. The sunlight was perfect, the breeze gentle. My parents really like you, I said with a smile. Really? Elena glinked mischievously. I thought your dad didn't like me. He kept a straight face. He's pretending. I tapped her nose lightly. Inside, he's blooming with joy. We looked at each other and smiled. Caleb. She stopped and looked at me seriously. Let's get married. I was stunned. Although we had reconciled, I didn't expect her to bring up marriage so quickly. What? You don't want to? She raised an eyebrow. Is there some other woman? Some homewrecker? No. I shook my head frantically, grasping her hands. I'm just too surprised. I dropped to one knee, looking up at her. Elena, in the last life, our beginning originated from transaction, a merger. In this life, I want to give you a real proposal filled with love. I pulled a velvet box from my pocket, customized it overnight. Although it's a bit not romantic enough. Elena Vance, will you marry me? Let me use the rest of my life to make up for what I owe you, to love you properly. Her eyes reddened again. She nodded vigorously. I will. I slipped the ring on her finger, stood up, and pulled her into my embrace. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting dappled shadows on us. Everything was as beautiful as a dream. But this time, I knew it wasn't a dream. This was the treasure I had lost and found again. It was the completion I had traded 2 lifetimes of reincarnation to achieve. Later, we held a grand wedding. Julian flew back from abroad to be my best man. At the wedding, he gave me a huge bear hug. You bastard, at least you didn't make my efforts go to waste. I laughed and punched him lightly. Thanks, brother. Don't just talk, hand over the check. Elena and I looked at each other and laughed. Life after marriage was ordinary and happy. We went to work together, came home together. We cooked together, watched movies together. We would bicker over trivial things, and we would hug late at night, talking about our future plans. I was no longer that cold working machine, and she found the self that loved to laugh again. Sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night, look at her sleeping soundly beside me, and still feel it was unreal. I would gently hold her hand, feeling her temperature, before I could feel at ease. Rebirth isn't for escaping. It's for loving better. I'm so grateful I seized this chance. I didn't miss you again. End of story.